Like 10 of you linked me this video, the Disneyfication of Warcraft. We've been talking about this on stream for a long time, the whimsical conversations. Let's see if Angelica Tosh can explain this better than I can. All right, let's take a listen.
Most tragic victims of the modern gaming industry that brutally mishandles legendary IPs and turns them into shadows of their former selves.
Okay.
It's a textbook example of you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. In its foundations, Warcraft established a certain look or aesthetic for itself that made it really stand out in a sea of other titles in the fantasy genre.
Totally.
Most notably, despite their clear influences from other games, the races of Warcraft had their own flair about them that you could only find in Warcraft or WoW.
Yeah.
However, over the years, we have seen a devastating shift in tone, writing, and art direction that have turned WoW from this vast, gritty fantasy that did have a bit of whimsy here and there to a full-on Disney-fied version.
Oh, wait, so she did say it does have a bit of whimsy here and there. Am I just wrong on this one? Because, like, anyway.
Version of its former self. Today, I want to talk a bit about how WoW lost its uniquely Warcraft identity, focusing mainly on art and aesthetics, and just have a bit of an honest discussion on what exactly went wrong and why it matters in the context of a changing, out-of-touch industry that has plunged many legendary franchises into an identity and aesthetic crisis. Before we get started, hi, my name is Angelica, and this is a video that I have been building up to for a while. It isn't a new discussion, but it's really important to me as somebody who grew up with Warcraft, and I am probably the way that I am because of it. Now, previously on this channel, we have had several in-depth discussion on the races of Warcraft and certain aesthetic and tone.
Wait, what were these? The problem with Warcraft humans and how World of Warcraft ruined the Night Elves. Huh. Okay, those are interesting.
Shifts that have fundamentally changed how they were even from Warcraft 3 to Vanilla WoW, or even some things that have straight up ruined everything that was unique about a particular race. It hits hardest with the Night Elves, as we have seen, where they went from these savage men and women who fought with a brutality that even the orcs couldn't believe to please don't hurt my twee. You can check this video out if you want to hear about it in more detail, but for me, this has sparked a wider discussion on where exactly WoW lost this brutal Warcraft essence and how did we get to these Disney vibes.
Warlords of Draenor, graphic update. It's exactly what it was. Because classic WoW looked good, and then TBC, and then Wrath, and then Kata, and then Mop, like it continued to like, you know, give more HD pixels with the same look. WoD is when the new models came in. Exactly when.
Honestly, you don't really have to do any in-depth analysis to see that there is a massive difference between even these images here, as if they come from totally different universes. Everyone looks so bubbly, kind. Even the rougher options for faces look so soft and clean.
It's kind of true though, like, wipe that smile off your face. Why are you smiling? This is Warcraft. It's like, why are you so happy?
It's missing that bit of spice that we saw with older models. And this bubbly, well-rounded and smooth kind of look really goes for how the rest of the world looks as well.
Yeah,
Some people suggest that this is just the natural way that it progressed with these newer models, but I would argue that it definitely could have taken a different way if they wanted it to. Just look at these unused human models and how much they resemble their Warcraft 3 selves. There was already a shift in tone from the start of vanilla World of Warcraft, but at that point it wasn't anything too egregious, even though it would have been nice to see them explore this particular look for humans. A more intimidating, sharper look, and something that made them stand out from humans in other fantasy games. Warcraft 3 was a defining game for the overall—
I just have to pause real quick. Duck, congratulations, man, on the baby curl. Massive W. Thanks for the sub, brother.
Look that made WoW so great. They established a very interesting balance between the masculine and the feminine that worked in harmony to amplify one another. By this, I mean it tapped into the side of fantasy that is effortlessly, universally appealing. Strong, believable characters, flawed, but each with their own personalities and their own motivations when it comes to the greater fight for the good of their own race or whatever cause they support. A very mature approach that gave a lot of room for growth and a future for Warcraft. It reminds me of how The Lord of the Rings, particularly the movies, are so appealing to literally everyone. They never needed to overcompensate in a way that a lot of modern games and fantasy in general tends to do nowadays. For example, did you know that in total, if you take all of the main female characters and put their screen time together, you don't even get a full hour? And despite this, The Lord of the Rings has a massive female fanbase. Then we can look at the Rings of Power and how they massacred Galadriel's character to where she's no longer a strong, wise elf, but an insufferable girl boss who behaves like those main characters from the Disney shows. Everything feels over-exaggerated, overplayed, and unnatural. Warcraft had a place for—
Okay, I actually love Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen it since I was like, since I was a lot younger than 32, I'll tell you that much. I would love to rewatch Lord of the Rings. That's on my to-do list. It's actually like my wife likes Lord of the Rings too, so we'll have to find a time and a date where we can just like binge some Lord of the Rings. It's been a while. Anyway, I tried to watch Rings of Power. I couldn't make it past like the first couple episodes. I don't know if that's a bad take or what, but I know some people liked it. I watched it and I was like, what's going on? Like, I just stopped watching it, so I didn't watch it.
For everybody, not because they had to fit someone in to meet a quota, but because the world naturally formed in this way. In the RTS, for example, the Night Elves, despite being such a wild and brutal race, are actually a matriarchal society, and little things like even the in-game callouts are done with a female voice, as opposed to the other races that have male voice callouts. Modern WoW has a lot of flaws when it comes to writing, but particularly female characters feel so forced, unnatural, and like their motivation doesn't come from a genuine place, but instead it's all just sort of performative. Sylvanas went from the tragic survivor of the Lich King, the powerful Banshee Queen that unified the Forsaken, to a cartoony villain. The rest of the writing across the world, coupled with the cadence with which female characters speak, is just, it's Disney.
Is that?
Thoradin's Wall? Yes.
Then the stories and legends I read as a child were true.
This is an infamous example. The way that it looks like a poorly made machinima from the early days, and to be fair, even those looked better.
Dinath fought to save all of Azeroth. He sold us out so the Alliance and Horde could wage war in Khazalgar. You'll never understand. For Erethdor!
But it's that overplayed style of narration that is used to tell you about history that is somehow relevant to the plot. The shades that she's wearing are also kind of throwing me off. We get two supposedly strong female characters here, but their dialogue is so poorly written and it's delivered in such a strange way that I can't help but just cringe at it. There was talk about this sort of thing happening a lot, not just in WoW, but in other games in general, in an attempt to make games more appealing to women. This is the industry's idea of what is supposed to be appealing to women. A corporate-brained group of people that never really had interest in video games to begin with came up with this. An out-of-touch entity that has all of the power, but none of the creativity to bring Warcraft back to its former glory. Why is it that in order to appeal to female gamers, we need to infantilize the dialogue and the writing to Disney levels? Things like this are straight up insulting to everybody's intelligence. I wonder how it passed quality checks. Is there nobody there that listens back to this and says, hey, maybe this is a little bit silly?
That insult is actually kind of funny. This is an insult to everyone's intelligence. actually kind of funny.
This is a little side note
Do
that
you think
goes
I'm
beyond
stupid?
World of Warcraft and shows
Oh
you
my gosh.
just how much the industry does not take female characters or female gamers seriously, and how much they misunderstand us. A recent example is God of War Laufey, which is such an unfortunate thing for me because a game along the lines of Heavenly Sword or a God of War game with a female protagonist does sound like it's something that would appeal to me, like I would be the target audience for that kind of game. But when I watched the showcase and heard little bits of her dialogue and what she was saying, I felt confused.
Okay. I think they're gone.
Just be careful. Where are we anyway?
Afterlife of the gods? I call it the everyone. So, what's the plan, boss?
Not your boss, Frank.
Why does she have to be so quirky, and why are we so afraid of or embarrassed by a true fantasy setting where people speak and act like they would in a serious, mature fantasy setting? Why is there a gelatinous cube named Frank? Where in Greek mythology did we have something like this? The creation of these cartoony girl bosses or quirk chunguses show that they don't really understand what made other fantasy titles so popular with female gamers. Look at things like Skyrim or even Elden Ring as like a really small example. They are games that are just completely themselves. Every character fits naturally into their setting. There is no unnecessary comic relief to make female characters more relatable.
You know, one of the things, like we already touched on this once, is like the facial expressions. So there's the art, and we've covered that a lot. But the facial expressions that really encapsulate the era, right? In the old days, it's more about survival, right? How am I gonna feed myself and get shelter? Everyone almost has this like worn out look about them that's like I'm in Warcraft. I'm trying to not die here. This is serious. There's a mood and a feeling of like crap. Like this, there could be, you know, like there could be dragons out there. Like when you're playing Oblivion, it's like there's gates of hell opening up. What is going on? This is kind of like a little eerie and not like scary, but like it's serious. The tone is somewhat serious in a lot of these games, like an Elden Ring, like a Skyrim or Oblivion, and Warcraft doesn't totally feel like that. I guess Warcraft 3 maybe more. I haven't played it, but from what I've seen, and then World of Warcraft, maybe sure, maybe slightly. You know, you have gnomes and stuff, but like still the facial expressions of the humans and the elves and the dwarves. But then when like retail just isn't that at all, like no spectrum of that. It's just completely not that. It's smiles, it's big what, like that's where it kind of like what why are you so happy? Like what do you want, huh? I think for me that's like obviously the art style we've already covered, but this is like, I mean, it's kind of stylization, I suppose, but it's like tone. It's like the tone. Why you like? Essentially, it doesn't make sense to be happy in times of pain and war. Exactly. The tone is all off. Like I said at the start of the video, like wipe that smile off your face, man. This is Warcraft. Like I don't know, man. The tone is not right. The style is also not right, but the tone isn't right.
Or less awkward, and there's no Disney style over narration of events to make sure that girls will understand what's going on. Those games are just good, and that is why everybody likes them. You don't have to overcompensate at every turn with cute and whimsical characters to get girls to play your game. I'm gonna say something, and it's that performative male feminism has majorly contributed to the industry's skewed and out-of-touch view of female gamers. When this sort of thing receives any bit of criticism, you'll have the white knights come out and say, oh, weak men, fragile masculinity, you hate women if you don't like this sort of thing. Okay, if you take actual incels out of the equation, which nobody really takes them seriously, the truth is that a female protagonist isn't the problem. If that were the case, so many massive franchises wouldn't have even been half as successful as they are. The problem is with modern developers that will take a legendary, well-established IP and use it as leverage to sell their own games with mediocre writing. Let's be honest, nobody would buy this if it didn't have the World of Warcraft label on it. We should not be focusing on the extremes that deflect from valid criticisms and concerns when it comes to things like this. Nobody who's normal has any real problem with a female game protagonist, but we also shouldn't reward mediocrity just because the protagonist is a woman. Performative male feminism has been incredibly damaging to so many studios, including Blizzard, who did have a lot of skeletons in the closet of their own in real life, but they thought that it would be reasonable to turn women into fruit as compensation. I've asked this before, and I will ask this again. What message does this send about women's bodies, especially
Probably
in a
not.
mature fantasy setting? It's hardly a children's game, if we're honest. I mean, most of the people that are playing World of Warcraft, at the least, would be in their mid-20s, but I'd say the average is like 30s, 40s, and above. And this is just part of the overall problem, but going back to modern or retail WoW, when the harmonious masculine and feminine elements of the game were neglected, toned down, and stripped back for a more family-friendly version of the game or something that would appeal to more people, it resulted in a kind of a theme park look or feel for the game. You tried to make something that appeals to everybody, it then appeals to nobody. There is the added issue of
Well
too many
said.
things
Yeah.
going on at once.
Very
There
well
are
said.
too many races, there are too many flashy mounts and toys, too
Yep.
many shop items, and it all creates visual noise. This is the backdrop, but in the foreground, the way that the characters are animated, how they move, how they run, cast spells, etc., is so overdone and
Completely agree on this point too. You have the art style itself, then you have the tone, and then you have the movement. Like in WoD, the character update, they just started going like this. And smiling. Bro, what? Why are you so bubbly, man? What, like, what's going on? Yeah, I completely agree. It's like, it's the bounciness about it all, man. Why are you so why are you bouncing around? This is Warcraft.
for me, it plays like some cartoon or something that isn't really that serious. I think it's important to note just how impactful this change is. We went from these more grounded and down-to-earth animations to the more over-the-top variety that perhaps because of what I'm used to feels very unnatural and frantic. Recently, WoWcrendor did a video about why WoW isn't immersive anymore. Just on that conversation, a lot of
I haven't
these
seen
new
that. Might have to check
locations
it.
with the latest expansions, for me, are a little hard to appreciate with just how much is going on. It's not that these places aren't beautiful. There is a certain charm there, but I think that World of Warcraft is a game that greatly benefits from minimalism where possible in terms of world design. It is so much easier to get immersed in a simple, dark forest where the environment is made up of limited but effective components that get across how you're supposed to feel about this place and what it represents, as opposed to these massive, overblown, overly detailed locations where your eyes kind of don't know what to focus on in order to properly appreciate the setting. It's kind of a shame for the better designed parts of the game also, because this just completely clashes with it and takes away from any good art that's created in modern World of Warcraft. Just completely overshadowed by silliness and a general lack of direction. I think that the true Disneyfication started with Draenor when they had the catastrophic change in character models that all but
Yep. I mean, there it is. I mean, like we said at the start of the video,
Disneyfication started with
the gnomes are the worst. Like, yeah, you're a gnome, and I guess by definition, there is an element of whimsicalness about it, okay? But look, like, what? Like, look at that. Bro, look at the smile, man. Like, yeah, the gnomes, I think, have got to be the worst. Some of them aren't as bad. Like, the undeads, I feel like, aren't as bad. Right? But, like, the gnomes, I feel like the gnomes have got to be.
Draenor when they had the catastrophic change in character models that all but wiped the core identities of many of the races of Azeroth, but as time went on, I think that the Disney element was melded together with a Fortnite element. Fortnite was a massive and game-changing influence all
I swear, like this almost looks like the human male, like the Fortnite character.
across the industry, especially with their specific approach to monetization. What started out with a simple skin shop and then turned into the battle pass where you could additionally earn currency, later grew into something that featured all kinds of things, including celebrity cameos, TV show cameos, cameos from other games. So when you go into a Fortnite lobby, everyone is just some different looking thing. There's no rhyme or reason, no harmony, but
I feel like this guy has my same haircut. Almost like identical with the heck is going on here?
for a game like Fortnite, this is fine. It's a battle royale. You're in, you're out. It's not that deep. I don't think anybody really cares about Fortnite lore or keeps up with it unless they're like 6 or 7 years old. And to me, that's what a lot of World of Warcraft looks like now. I think transmog was a good idea at its conception, but also with all of the quirky cosmetics and things that don't really fit Warcraft and its...
Okay, I feel like Blood Elves... This is the new Blood Elf. I feel like Blood Elves actually don't look bad. They're serious, like it's HD, high quality, but they're serious tone. The eyes, the mouth, the nose, it's like we're serious here, right? Then you have like pandas and gnomes. It's like the disconnect is like crazy. I feel like am I crazy to think this? The Blood Elf isn't that bad. They're at least the tone is right. It looks almost just like a super HD Blood Elf.
Original sense, cities and hubs can now look a little bit like a Fortnite lobby, just with all of the flashy mounts, new races, and every...
Okay, I completely agree with this. I didn't really make this connection, but when you can be in your PJs and you can have like swimmy floats on and glasses and jester outfits, it's like, what is this? Warcraft? What's going on here, right? Like in classic WoW, there is like in SOD, you can do the super long quest line for the classes. Like that's one thing, I guess. I'm trying to think what else. I think there was like a certain BlizzCon toy that you could get one year. What am I thinking of? Of like, it's like a love seat or something. There's like a love seat item. I think there was maybe more. Like there was like a Murloc suit maybe, but these were like really, really rare items that like you would basically never see. But when you run through a town and you see this, it's like, it definitely doesn't feel the same, right? I think there's a difference between transmog and like a very occasional rare cosmetic. Right? If you have like a rare cosmetic that players don't have on most of the time, especially when they're killing dragons, versus when you're like running around the world like this killing dragons, it's like something feels off, you know? So I mean, I'm torn on transmog because I know so many players love it. To be honest, it's probably the true end game for like most players in a sense of just farming and collecting items. So it kills me to say this, but like, yeah, it feels like almost a net negative with how the game feels, the structure of it, you know?
Everything else in between. I think Dragonflight was the next major Disney-esque blow to Warcraft, something that really pushed it over the edge into a more immature fantasy setting. People often misunderstand why there is still such a great appreciation for Warcraft in its earliest iterations, or World of Warcraft from vanilla to about Wrath. But it was just that no matter where you went, even if people were wearing mismatched gear, as you do while you're leveling, you looked like you belonged in this world. Old World of Warcraft is...
Look at the eyes, look at the tone, man. This guy's seen some stuff, man. This guy almost died to a pillager, you know? Like, look at that. You can feel it. It's like, dang, dude. Those kobolds almost got me back there. But now we're in Stormwind. Oh my gosh. Oh.
So loved by that side of the community because it's a game that has more than just gameplay going for it. You have gameplay at the center of everything, of course, but beside that you have lore, compelling storytelling, a sense of scale when it comes to the world, adventure, a unique identity and aesthetic, and of course the overall added bonus of nostalgia. You really cannot compete with nostalgia. For retail WoW, it feels like you just have gameplay. Because the only good things I ever hear about retail WoW is only ever just related to gameplay. I know a lot of classic versus retail discourse is around the difficulty level of the game. Some classic players say retail is too easy, and retail players argue that it's not. And to be fair, I actually can believe that retail WoW would be quite a bit more difficult. Early WoW was pretty simple if you think about it, and unless you're playing hardcore, it's not really that hard to get through the game. It takes a longer time, sure, and I think maybe certain parts of the game are harder than they would be in retail, but overall, when it comes to even the end game, I do think retail probably does have more challenging elements to it. I have been told that I only dislike retail WoW because I'm just not good enough to play it. And here's what I'll tell you. I just don't even have an incentive to try. I don't want to try to be good at it. It just doesn't look like the kind of game.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. I mean, yeah, let's just straighten the record. Retail is quicker and easier to level, but the end game is so much harder. It's just not even in the same remote ballpark of comparison. Like, not even close. The end game is way harder. Mechanically, strategically, everything. Way harder. But yeah, it's quicker to level.
Game that I want to play. A lot of it's just too smooth and polished, and it really feels disconnected from its roots. And to me, those are the things that are important. And in talking about this and in making videos like this, I have found an entire community of players like me that find value in the exact same things, and for the exact same reasons they cannot or they do not play retail WoW. I don't know what's going on in the lore anymore, and you know what? Nobody does. This was a major discussion in the community recently. Nobody has any idea what's going on. They've written themselves into a corner.
Yeah, some of the lore experts are like, what the heck is going on with the lore? And like their whole job is to explain the lore to the layman like me who doesn't know what's going on. And then the video is like, I don't know what's going on either. It's like kind of hilarious.
We're probably gonna get like a ton of retcons or time travel or something, just like Mortal Kombat. The best thing that they've done recently seems to be housing. Everybody loved housing, and I'll be honest, I look at it and based on the kind of games that I play, I would probably interact with this and enjoy it quite a lot myself. But it's just still not enough of an incentive for me to want to come back to the game overall. There is such an unfortunate stigma around people who prefer classic WoW literally just for the way it looks. Do you know how many times I have been called a chud gamer for talking about this? What do you want me to say? The chuds yearn for storytelling. They yearn for lore, for gritty dark.
What's the definition of chud? Modern slang, reactionary, boorish. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Dark fantasy with some whimsy here and there. A simpler time when the game didn't feel so confusing and silly. But let me tell you something right now. I have the solution.
Okay,
no,
tell
it
us.
is not to play Classic WoW. Those servers have a bunch of issues. We'll wait for Classic Plus. I'll keep my mind open. The solution, ladies and gentlemen, is to reject corporate slop and embrace tradition. If you are watching this video, then I am telling you right now to go and install Warcraft 3 Reforged and go back to playing a real game.
All right, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Is it remastered? No, Warcraft. Should I just play Warcraft 3? Like, is that what we're...
Not just the campaign, but really play Warcraft 3 PvP. Go watch a Grubby video, go watch Happy play in a tournament, go learn a build order, and just get in the game. It has to be reforged, so we cannot escape all of the corporate slop, but you can toggle classic graphics and immerse yourself in a real, brutal, gritty Warcraft as God intended. Oh, but you like decorating your house in retail World of Warcraft? Go build a base. Like a man. Or a woman. Some burrows or a ziggurat. Whatever you're into. Go play a real game that still holds true to the roots of one of the greatest game franchises of all time. And then 1v1.
I am ashamed to say that I've never played Warcraft 3. It is on my to-do list. It's been on my to-do list. But we had to beat hardcore Minecraft first, and I know, guys, it's pretty bad.
on me on the ladder if you aren't chicken. But on a serious note, I maintain that everybody should be able to just play whatever they want, even if it is retail WoW. There's clearly still an audience for it. And even that audience, by the way, already has a lot to say about the writing and various other issues with the game. But in keeping with our previous discussions around the aesthetics of Warcraft and just the overall legendary vibes that we got from it that just weren't recreated anywhere else ever, this was an important video for me to make. And that's why I made it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant on the Disneyfication of Warcraft. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. As always, huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you. Bye.
All right, there it is. The Disneyfication of Warcraft. Solid. There's a lot of good points in here. That was a solid watch. Well said. And Angelica Tosh. I think one of the biggest realizations that I had in this is like, because we've already talked about the art, we've already talked about the animations, but I think a lot of this video made me think about tone. Like the tone just doesn't feel right. This is what I was looking for. You know, like the tone just has to feel like you're set in the right time, and I think the tone is just off. Warlords of Draenor forward. Really. I really think that. It's like maybe even a bigger problem than the art. The art style is a big problem, but the tone might even be a bigger problem. Like I said, the Blood Elves have the new art, but the tone at least is kind of there. Look, it's the new art, it's all HD, but the tone is there. And it's not that bad, really. I think the tone might be more important. People want the video link. There it is. Just linked it in the chat on Twitch and YouTube. Warcraft 3-time buddy. I don't know if I'm doing that today, because I'd have to think about it a little more. I don't know if I'm gonna give Warcraft 3 like right this second, but it is on the to-do list. Okay, I definitely do want to play that game. It's like, you know, you've thought about it long enough. I mean, we do want to play the game. It's so depressing that most videos on YouTube that get views are just crapping on the game 24/7. You're probably right, but let me push back a little. G-Bay's series has been so great because of how positive he is about the game, you know, and how much like it's like he's a new player and loves it. And I think we've seen a lot of like new players come and fall in love with classic WoW, which is really cool. I generally agree with your point that negativity sells, but I also just want to push back and say that valid criticisms are okay to make. Not complaining to complain, not whining to whine, not just saying something with no solution, not just sitting there and crying like a baby, but a valid criticism with a valid concern and talking about it in clear and concise language with a solution attached to it. That is a good thing. That's not negative. That's not like, oh, let's just sell negativity. That's let's do better here. This is not going well, and let's improve it, right? So I just want to push back a little bit and say that, right? Because I try to be the latter. I try to be the latter. I don't want to whine to whine. I don't want to, you know, just complain to complain. It's like, no, let's talk about things that are fair criticisms and try to make them better. And why exactly is it not good? And what exactly could then be improved? Let's be precise about it, right?